The day you were born is not a mistake, an accident, or a coincidence. It is not just a date on a calendar or a day that your parents happened to conceive you. No. According to God's eternal plan, your birth date is a marker of divine timing. It is evidence that you arrived on earth precisely when heaven had scheduled you to fulfill a purpose that only you could accomplish. God is a God of intentionality. He does nothing by chance, and he never improvises. Before anything exists in time, it already existed in eternity. God is not experimenting with your life. You are not a product of human planning. You are a product of divine design. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes that there is a time for everything under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die. That means your time to be born was chosen with purpose. You didn't just show up, you were sent. Your arrival was timed by the eternal clock of heaven. Your birthday is not just the day you came from your mother's womb, it is the day that your destiny entered the earth realm. God released you from eternity into time because the world required what you carry. Your assignment had to be deployed, and your generation required your presence. So God said, now is the time. He chose the year, the month, the day, the hour, even the second. Why? Because your life is a part of a grand design. You were born when the earth needed your contribution. Your purpose is so valuable to the earth that God protected your entrance. You survived everything that tried to stop you from being born. Some of you were not planned by your parents, but you were planned by God. Some were born in difficulty, crisis, or unexpected situations. But none of that changed God's intention. The conditions of your birth do not alter the reality of your purpose. You may have been a surprise to your family, but you were never a surprise to God. In fact, God orchestrated your arrival through imperfect people because he was after something bigger, your destiny. You see, God will even use broken vessels to bring forth his divine plan. So stop looking at your past, your family background, or your circumstances as reasons why you do. There is something else you must understand. God did not create you when you were born. He created you before you were born. Your birth simply revealed your presence on the earth. Jeremiah 1:5 says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart and appointed you. That means God had a conversation with your spirit before you had a body. He designed you, he defined you, and then he decided the exact time in history when you would enter the scene. Why? Because your generation needed your voice, your gifts, your perspective, your solution. If you had been born 50 years earlier, you would have missed your time. If you came 20 years later, your assignment would have been delayed. But God timed you perfectly. That is why the enemy attacks people's identity. He wants you to question your value. He wants you to believe you're just here to exist, to survive, to get by. But the devil is a liar. You were not just born to live. You were born to deliver something. You were sent here to solve a problem. You are an answer walking around, and your birthday is the evidence that God decided it was time for that answer to show up. That means the world has a demand on your supply. The marketplace is waiting on your product. Your community is waiting on your leadership. Your family is waiting on your restoration. Your family is waiting on your voice. You don't need to chase purpose. It's already within you. What you need is understanding. And that begins when you stop treating your life as common. Stop dismissing your presence as accidental. You were born because this time in history could not move forward without you. Heaven looked at the timeline of human destiny and determined the perfect point for you to be introduced. So the day you were born, a purpose was activated in the earth. God didn't just give you life, he gave you timing. That is why your birth date matters. It is not a number. It is a divine stamp of your relevance. Before you were ever conceived, your purpose was already established. This is one of the greatest truths Dr. Miles Monroe spent his life teaching. Purpose always comes before creation. God is a God of purpose, and he never begins anything until he has already finished it in his mind. That means you were not born and then given a purpose. You were given a purpose and then you were born to fulfill it. Your birth was simply the moment your purpose entered the physical world. In other words, your existence began in the mind of God, not in your mother's womb. God told Jeremiah, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. That means your spirit existed before your body did. You are a spiritual being having a temporary human experience. God didn't start thinking about you the day you were born. He finished thinking about you long before that. You were already known, already chosen, already assigned. Your birth was simply your debut into time to carry out a purpose that had been predetermined. So your date of birth is not the start of your life. It's the beginning of your purpose in time. The problem is, most people don't know why they are here. They think they were born to pay bills, get an education, find a job, get married, buy a house, retire, and then die. That's not purpose, that's existence. But existence without purpose is dangerous. When you don't know the purpose of something, you misuse it. And that includes your own life. Many people are misusing their time, their talents, their relationships, and their energy simply because they have no understanding of their purpose. Dr. Monroe would say that where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. This is why discovering your purpose is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Understanding that purpose comes before birth changes everything. It means you are not a mistake. It means you are not a random product of biology. It means you carry something the earth needs, and your presence is the evidence. If you had no purpose, you would not have been born. God never creates anything without intention. Even a blade of grass has a role. Even a mosquito serves a function. How much more you are made in the image and likeness of God himself. That means you carry divine potential. You carry a piece of heaven strategy on earth. Purpose is also specific. It's not general. God didn't just put you on earth to be a good person. No, he gave you an assignment. That assignment is tied to your gifts, your passions, your personality, your life experiences, and even your pain. God uses everything, your strengths and your struggles, to shape you for the mission. That's why your background matters. That's why your environment. God chose where you would be born, to whom you would be born, and when you would be born, because all of that would shape the vessel that would carry his purpose. You didn't choose your purpose, your Creator did. Your job is to discover it, not to invent it. And you begin that journey by going back to the source. You were in God's mind before you were in your mother's womb. That means only God can reveal your purpose to you. Education can give you skills, experience can give you perspective, but only God can show you why he sent you. Dr. Monroe often said, if you want to know the purpose of a thing, never ask the thing. Ask the one who made it. So if you want to know your purpose, ask the one who formed you before time began. Your birth confirms that your purpose is already complete in the mind of God. You are not an experiment. You are an assignment. God didn't put you on earth to figure out your worth. He put you here to release what he already placed inside you. So walk with confidence, speak with boldness, live with intention. You were born on purpose, with purpose, and for purpose. The fact that you're here proves that what you carry is needed now. The very fact that you were born is undeniable proof that the earth needed what you carry. You were not sent here empty. You were not born to just exist or to take up space. You came with a deposit from God, a treasure, hidden in an earthen vessel, waiting to be discovered, developed, and deployed. Dr. Miles Monroe taught with conviction that when God allows a human being to be born, it is because that person is carrying a solution to a problem, an answer to a question, and a gift that their generation desperately needs. You were not just born to live. You were born to deliver something. You must understand that God is a strategic God. He does nothing without intent. Every plant, every animal, every planet, every star, everything in creation was designed to solve a problem. The sun solves the problem of darkness. Water solves the problem of thirst. Trees solve the problem of oxygen. If everything in nature serves a purpose, then surely, as one made in the image and likeness of God, your existence is even more intentional. You are more than biology. You are God's idea made visible. When God formed you, He didn't just give you life. He gave you purpose, gifts, talents, ideas, creativity, and a voice. Those gifts are not for you, they are for the world. You are a carrier of solutions. That is why you cannot afford to live carelessly. The value of your life is measured by the impact of your purpose. There is something inside you that your generation cannot afford to live without. This might be a book, a song, a business, a school, a system, a message, a ministry, or a movement. But whatever it is, the world is waiting for it, and it's inside you. The richest place on earth is not the oil fields of the Middle East or the gold mines of South Africa. It is the cemetery. Why? Because buried in the ground are dreams never fulfilled, books never written, music never composed, inventions never created, businesses never started. This is why your birth is so powerful. It is a statement from heaven that your deposit is required. You were released into time because God saw a vacancy in history that only you could fill. And let me tell you, the enemy knows this. That's why the attacks on your mind, your confidence, your identity, and your potential are so relentless. Because if the devil can convince you that your life has no meaning, he can rob the world of what you were born to give. But the devil is a liar. You were born with purpose. You were born with answers. You were born to shift atmospheres and change destinies. You don't have to be famous to be impactful. You don't need a stage to be significant. Purpose is not about popularity. It's about productivity. It's about what you were sent here to do. When you understand this, you stop comparing yourself with others. You stop competing and start completing your assignment. You begin to realize that your life is a gift to the world, that your smile, your ideas, your leadership, your story, all of it matter. You become a steward of your own life, not just a survivor of your circumstances. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs the real you. Authenticity is the birthplace of purpose. When you embrace who God made you to be, you unlock the power of your uniqueness. Dr. Monroe used to say, the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but a life without purpose. But the greatest victory is a life lived fully, giving out everything God placed within you. Don't die full, die empty. Pour it all out. Speak every word. Build every dream. Heal every heart. Lead every mission. Finish your course. You were born because the world could not afford to move forward without what you carry. You are not here by chance. You are here by divine necessity. That's why you must rise, take responsibility for your gift, and unleash it into the earth. Because when you do, you don't just fulfill your purpose. You glorify the one who sent you. Just as there are seasons in nature, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. There are seasons in life, and each season is tied to a specific assignment. Dr. Miles Monroe taught that everything God creates functions according to times and seasons. That includes you. You were not just born on a day, you were born into a season that aligns with your divine assignment. Your birth was not random. It was a deliberate placement into a generation, a culture, a location, and a moment that would provide the conditions for your purpose to flourish. God orchestrated the environment that would best prepare you to carry out your assignment. When you look at the natural world, seasons govern everything. Seeds do not sprout in winter, they wait for spring. Fruit does not ripen before summer, it matures in its season. Likewise, your assignment is connected to timing. There is a season for preparation, a season for planting, a season for growth, and a season for harvest. If you do not understand your season, you will either rush ahead of your purpose or delay your calling. Many people are frustrated not because they lack purpose, but because they are out of sync with the season assigned to their purpose. Purpose is powerful, but timing is critical. God is not just the author of purpose, He is the Lord of timing. Ecclesiastes 3 says, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Notice that the verse says, a time to every purpose. That means your purpose has a time attached to it. Your birth initiated your time in the earth. Your days are not arbitrary, they are counted. Your time is your opportunity to fulfill your divine role. You were born at the exact time when your gifting and your calling would be most needed. God could have sent you in the days of Moses or in the time of the apostles, but He chose now. Why? Because your assignment fits this season. This is why comparing yourself to others is dangerous. Your season is not their season. Just because someone else is being celebrated now does not mean your time won't come. Just because another person's door is open today doesn't mean your purpose is any less valid. You must trust God's process and embrace your season. There is a time to learn, a time to lead, a time to build, and a time to release. The danger comes when you try to skip seasons. Dr. Monroe often warned against premature exposure. If you step into a platform before your character is mature, your gift might take you where your character cannot sustain you. So timing is God's protective mechanism for your purpose. Your birth season also reveals what kind of environment you were born to influence. Some people are called to crisis. They thrive in chaos because their assignment is to bring order. Others are called to innovation. They were born in times of technological revolution because they are meant to birth new ideas. Some are born in moral decline because they are called to restore righteousness. You must discern what your generation is lacking, because that is often a clue to what you were sent to supply. God will often let you feel the burden of what is broken so that you will have the passion to fix it. Your season, even your delays, have meaning in God's timing. What feels like a delay to you may actually be preparation. Moses spent 40 years in the desert, not because he failed, but because God was developing his character for leadership. Jesus waited 30 years before performing miracles because his time had not yet come. David was anointed king as a teenager, but didn't sit on the throne until years later. Why? Because seasons matter. Preparation is never wasted. Don't curse the season you're in. There's a reason for it. God is working on your assignment, your mindset, your heart, and your skills to make sure you're ready when your moment arrives. Your job is to discern your season. Prepare in your season and act when the time comes. Stop looking at your birth date as just a day to celebrate. Start seeing it as the beginning of a divine timeline, a countdown to impact, influence, and legacy. Heaven marked that day on the calendar of history and said, now. That means you're not too late and not too early. You are right on time for your assignment. Your birthday is not just about candles, cake, and celebrations. It's a clue to your kingdom assignment. Dr. Miles Monroe taught that everything God creates has purpose built into it, and the timing of its manifestation is not random. In the same way, your birthday is not just a day of entry into the earth. It is a divine timestamp marking the release of a gift, a calling, and a voice that heaven ordained for a specific generation. That date holds significance not only in your personal journey, but also in the spiritual calendar of God's kingdom. The Bible is filled with divine patterns, symbols, and numbers. God is a God of order. He measured out the universe with precision, gave the sun its rising, the stars their names, and the seas their boundaries. He told Noah exactly how to build the ark, gave Moses exact dimensions for the tabernacle, and outlined feast days to the day and hour. Everything God does is structured, timed, and purposeful, including your birth. Even the numbers in Scripture speak volumes. 12 represents government. 40 symbolizes testing. 7 is completion. So why would your birth date be exempt from God's intentional symbolism? Many people overlook the prophetic clues embedded in their date of birth. Yet in the kingdom of God, timing is everything. Your birth date is a part of your identity as much as your fingerprints or your DNA. It carries prophetic patterns, spiritual codes, and often confirms the kind of grace that is upon your life. You may have been born on a date tied to a biblical feast or a significant historical moment. None of it is coincidental. God aligns natural events with spiritual destiny, and your birth is part of that alignment. Your birthday may fall in a season of war, and you carry the spirit of a warrior. Or perhaps you were born during a season of famine, and your assignment is to bring provision and solutions. You must begin to see that your birth date is not just about the past. It's a clue to your future. It's heaven's signal that your generation required your voice at that time. Your date of arrival was calculated for maximum kingdom impact. It was chosen because the unique assignment inside you would be most needed during the cultural, moral, political, and spiritual climate of your generation. This is why you must stop wasting time and take your assignment seriously. You were born into a generation with purpose. You carry something this era cannot afford to miss. In fact, the enemy often studies your birth timing. He knows that certain callings come with certain seasons, and he tries to interrupt destiny early. This is why many of the people with the greatest callings face the greatest warfare from birth. Dr. Monroe often said, the enemy only attacks what he fears. If the devil is attacking you, it's because he sees the threat you pose. He's read the spiritual signs. He knows that your birthday meant a soldier entered the field. A reformer was released. A healer stepped in. A teacher, an innovator, a leader, a deliverer. Someone entered the earth that carried a divine mission. Some of the most significant figures in Scripture had divinely timed births. Moses was born during a massacre, yet he lived to deliver a nation. Jesus was born in obscurity during Roman oppression, yet he carried eternal redemption. John the Baptist was born at a time when the voice of prophecy was silent, and he broke that silence with one cry in the wilderness. Their birth dates were not just about them, they were about what heaven was activating in the earth. The same is true of you. You are not just here to be counted, you were born to count. Your birth date is heaven's evidence that God had a need on earth and decided you were the one to meet it. Don't dismiss it. Don't treat it as a mere formality. Study it. Pray about it. Ask God to reveal the patterns, the meanings, the seasons, and the significance of that day. There is a kingdom mystery hidden in your birthday. When you unlock it, you will begin to understand not only who you are, but why you are. Because purpose is not hidden in time, it's revealed through time. And your birthday was the beginning of that revelation. You were born with everything you need to fulfill your God-given purpose. Dr. Miles Monroe passionately taught that God never creates anything without equipping it for its assignment. A bird doesn't need to be taught how to fly. Flight is built into its design. A fish doesn't attend swimming lessons. Its body is shaped for the water. Likewise, when God released you into the earth, he placed inside you every gift, every ability, every instinct, and every resource required to complete your assignment. Your birth wasn't the beginning of your existence. It was the unveiling of a solution wrapped in skin, sent to address a specific need in your generation. This means you lack nothing necessary for your purpose. You may not feel qualified, educated, or prepared by the world's standards, but heaven sees you as fully loaded. The problem is not the absence of gifts, it's the ignorance of them. Most people spend their lives searching outside of themselves for what God already placed within. Dr. Monroe often said, your future is not ahead of you, it's trapped inside of you. Everything you were born to do is already present in seed form, but seeds require cultivation. Your responsibility is not to create your purpose, but to discover it, unlock it, and develop it. Many people disqualify themselves because they are looking at their weaknesses instead of recognizing their unique wiring. But you were not designed for someone else's mission. You were designed for your own. God matched your personality, your passions, your pain, and your potential with your assignment. Even your struggles were permitted to refine you for your destiny. Your gift is not a hobby or a side interest. It's the tool you were given to change the world around you. You must stop seeing your uniqueness as strange or insignificant. That uniqueness is your clue to the kind of impact you are meant to make. Dr. Monroe emphasized that your birth was not a surprise to God. Every detail was intentional. Your skin tone, your voice, your family, your location, your generation. You were equipped for such a time as this. You are not too late and you are not too early. The timing of your birth means you have what it takes to address the problems of this era. This is why the enemy attacks your identity, because if he can confuse you about who you are, you will never release what you carry. But your value is not determined by how others see you. It is determined by what God placed within you before you were formed in your mother's womb. You must stop waiting for permission to be who God already approved. The world may not recognize your potential, but heaven already validated you. The King of Kings appointed you. There is authority in that. And what's more, God gave you the right environment to grow into that calling. Your childhood, your challenges, your breakthroughs, all of it plays a role in developing the treasure inside. Even the things that looked like disadvantages are being used by God to strengthen your voice and your vision. Nothing is wasted in the hands of the Creator. You were never meant to copy anyone. Imitation is the death of authenticity. You will never be powerful trying to be someone else. What makes you different is what makes you valuable. That idea, that dream, that gift, that skill. It is not random. It is evidence of what you were born to do. Stop hiding it. Stop minimizing it. Stop waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to use it. God gave it to you for a reason. He put it in you for his glory and for the good of others. You are the solution to a specific problem on the earth. You may not be called to the masses, but you are called to someone. Whether it's a classroom, a company, a church, a city, or even just a single life. Your gift was meant to serve. Purpose is not about being famous. It's about being faithful with what you were given. You are not empty. You are not ordinary. You are not overlooked by heaven. You were born fully equipped. Now is the time to dig deep, stir up the gift inside you, and begin to walk in the fullness of your assignment, because the world is waiting on what only you can deliver.